There is so much Chicago Bears news from the NFL Combine that I'm not even going to be able to hit it all on this video. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. This is why you subscribe, because we're going to talk about it a bunch today. If we can't hit some of the headlines from today in Indianapolis, it will be on a video tomorrow, so do not miss out. Hit that subscribe button. Okay, one thing that really, I think, caught people's attention today from both Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson's press conferences is the idea of Tyson Bagent potentially being a trade candidate. Both Poles and Johnson were asked about it, and Ryan Poles flat out acknowledged that they have gotten calls on the Bears' backup quarterback. Could Chicago trade him? Let's hear from the general manager.
Yeah, we anticipated that just because of the environment. Both, I think, if you piece and kind of do an overlay of the draft and free agency, we anticipated someone like Tyson is going to get some, interest. We've gotten a few calls there. Obviously, the tough thing is with, what Ben thinks about Tyson, what I think about Tyson, what our locker room thinks about Tyson. That's a really tough decision for us. But for Tyson as well, I think he would have an opportunity to go and perform for our team and do some really good things. But again, you got to weigh the short term and long term. So now, what's the cost of replacement, right? To get someone like Tyson, we spent a lot of time developing him. Ben spent a lot of time developing him. So you got to replace that as well. So interesting dynamic there that we're gonna have to work through.
Shout out to our Chat Sports crew in Indy. We have both the full Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson press conferences on the channel, so go check those out. But you listen to Poles there, and a couple things stand out to me. One, they clearly like him a lot and value him. There's a reason they extended him. And two, they didn't exactly, in Poles right there, and we'll get to Johnson in a minute, didn't exactly dismiss the possibility of trading him. I think that's at least on the table here because, they probably think that Caleb's their guy moving forward, but also I think they probably feel like Tyson could go be a starter somewhere. So to me, two important factors. One, what would you get for Tyson Bagent? If it's like a fifth-round pick, I wouldn't trade him. I'd rather have Tyson Bagent as my backup than a fifth or a sixth-round pick. But if it's like a third-round pick, okay, we can have a conversation. And two, and Poles alluded to it, okay, who can you get as his backup, and what would that cost? Like, what does a backup quarterback cost? Good backups cost, between $4 and $7 million. Tyson Bagent is a $4.75 million cap hit. So, you look at some guys out there. You could bring Case Keenum back. Do you like him as a number 2? He'll be 38 years old. I like him more as a 3. Tyrod Taylor is a veteran. I've always liked him as a backup. Jimmy Garoppolo went to Eastern Illinois. There's been chatter forever. Could he play for the Bears one day? I wouldn't mind him as a backup option. Joe Flacco has proven in the late stages of his career he can be a viable backup. Marcus Mariota as well. Mitch Trubisky, bring him home. I doubt it, but that would be interesting. Kenny Pickett, I have no interest in Russell Wilson, but he's out there. Same with Carson Wentz or Zach Wilson. Those last 3 guys, I really do not have a lot of interest in whatsoever. I do think you can find a backup. I think for those out there be like, well, what do? You need someone behind Caleb Williams. You can find solid backups, but the trade comp is key because I am with you, a young ascending talent. I'm not just giving Tyson Bagent away. But again, if we get into that day 2 chatter, like if some team's like, I'll give you a third-round pick, that has to be considered, especially if you are uber confident in Caleb Williams moving forward, which Ryan Poles kind of said, yeah, we feel good about where he's at, but the good ones in this league stack year after year, and he's got to prove he can do that. So clearly, there's more there that needs to happen. But at the same time, I think they like where Caleb is at. So I think in the end, it would come down to what you could get for Tyson Bagent, especially because he does have 2 years left on his deal. You don't just have to give him away. Okay, Ben Johnson also asked about the idea of potentially trading Tyson Bagent.
No. I love Tyson, and that's one that kind of pulls at your heartstrings a little bit because he's someone that you care about so deeply, and he's a hell of a football player that at some point you want to see him have a chance to do it himself. And so, we'll always do what's best for our team and our organization. I do think there's a lot of merit to having a strong number 2 quarterback, which he certainly fits that bill. I'm of the mind that he's probably one of the best 32 in the NFL. His preseason tape over the last few years has probably confirmed that, in my opinion. But if I took myself out of the equation, I want what's best for him. If he would like an opportunity to start, I certainly hope he can get that somewhere.
Look, I mean, you listen to Poles and Johnson. They clearly think highly of Bagent. The team likes him, the coaches, the players. And Ben right there said, I think he's a top 32 quarterback in this league. And I think they're conflicted. I think they're in a situation where they're like, we like him a lot, but we also think he could do some damage as a starter elsewhere. But again, they got to do what's best for the Bears. So if keeping him as a backup is best, great. And if you don't get a good trade offer for him, you don't trade Tyson Bagent. You don't trade Tyson Bagent just because you feel bad for him because he's not your starter, right? Like, this isn't quite the Justin Fields situation where the Bears were clearly moving on because they were going to draft Caleb Williams. So that report that Poles took a little less to send him to Pittsburgh to do him a solid because that was the teams he wanted to go to. I don't think you're doing that in this situation. Like you value Tyson Bagent as a backup. He's got multiple years left on his 2-year extension that he just signed. So, look, I think they're in a good spot. Worst case, you just keep him. Best case, hey, you get a premium draft pick for a QB desperate team. I don't know realistically what a team would offer. We haven't really seen him play since his rookie year. Most of these statistics are from his rookie year. I do think he's improved a lot since then. Ben Johnson said his last 2 years of preseason tape, in his opinion, shows he can be a starting quarterback in his league. I don't think Johnson's blowing smoke when he says that. I don't think it's a coincidence that after being the head coach of this team for a few months and through most of training camp, that extended Tyson Bagent. Clearly, Ben Johnson had some influence on that decision. He thinks highly of the kid, and I think 4 teams stand out as a potential fit. Arizona, I think, is an interesting one. Atlanta, they don't have a first-round pick. Unclear when Michael Penix Jr. is going to be back and healthy, and even if he is, how is he going to be as a player moving forward? The Ian Cunningham connection, more on that situation, by the way, coming up. Miami, if they want to go have a cheaper starting quarterback, especially if they take on Tua's dead cap money. And then the New York Jets, could they view Bagent as like a middle round experiment? They have a lot of draft picks. If it doesn't work out, you go in a different direction. Maybe I could see that being the case. And again, I ask this: can you get a day 2 pick? If it's a 5th or later, it's a non-starter. If it's a 4th, okay, we can have a conversation. If it's a day 2 pick, I'm taking that pretty seriously. If I feel confident I can find a good backup in free agency or elsewhere without breaking the bank to find it, then I'd be willing to trade Tyson Bagent if we're talking about day 2 draft capital. I think that's something you'd have to take very, very seriously. Should the Bears trade Tyson Bagent? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Let me know in the comments section of this video. Speaking of day 2 draft compensation, Ryan Poles was asked about the Ian Cunningham situation. Should they get the comp pick? Should they not? Thought he had a pretty interesting answer. This was pretty revealing.
How we do that and why we do that has nothing to do with compensation whatsoever. I want to make that very clear. On the other side, there's a set of rules that were put in place that I think can be applied to this situation. So we've communicated through the right channels, so we'll see what happens as we move forward. I'm not sure. We'll just wait for a response. No one personally called me from the league, so. Yeah.
Ian was just here and said that he thinks you should, and you think you should.
Yeah.
So the Bears think you should, the Falcons think you
Yep.
should. It seems like.
Yeah. So it'll be up to the league and how they see it.
So you formally have appealed it to the league?
We've had conversations, yep.
Pretty diplomatic there from Poles, but you could see that smirk of like, yeah, the Falcons think we deserve the picks. We think we deserve the picks. It's up to the league. And I do like that at the beginning, Poles is like, look, we don't hire and promote guys based on that rule that's in place, but the rule's in place. And the way the Falcons have spoken publicly about the structure of their organization, the report earlier today, Ian Cunningham told Kirk Cousins they're going to cut him, not Matt Ryan. Sounds like the primary executive to me. Speaking of Cunningham, we will get to him here in a little bit, but maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance that Chicago will get these draft picks from the NFL. And again, it's huge. You get a third-round pick this year and next year. We'll find out at the start of the league year, I believe. That's when comp picks are announced. So stay tuned. Maybe there is a possibility they will still land those selections. All right, we do got to tell you guys about our sponsor. That is Ethos. Appreciate them for sponsoring today's show. Life insurance isn't a fun topic to talk about, but it's important, especially if you're like me and you have a wife, a child. Thinking about their livelihoods made it easier to discuss, and I'm so glad I found Ethos as my life insurance provider. I've got a lot of responsibility at home. If something happens to me, there's real consequences. Talking everyday bills, tuition, mortgage payments, and a whole lot more. Those things don't just go away. Life can throw you curveballs, and it's best that you stay prepared. With Ethos, you can get life insurance in as little as 10 minutes. Ethos has no medical exams, just a few easy health questions online. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. You can get up to $3 million in coverage, and some policies are as low as $30 per month with Ethos. Check out Ethos, 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Help protect your family with life insurance through Ethos today. Get your instant and free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times and rates may vary. Check out that link in the comments and description of this video. Okay, coming up, we will dive into DJ Moore as Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson talked about the DJ Moore situation after their press conferences. They both did local media scrums with the Chicago media, so we didn't get footage of that as the Chat Sports crew is running around in Indianapolis. But before we get there, Ian Cunningham also chimed in and gave his perspective on whether or not the Bears should receive compensatory draft picks.
Yeah, I haven't had much time to really dive into like the wording of it. It was always my interpretation that if a general manager gets hired, that team would receive 2 third-round picks. I'm a general manager. I was hired. I would think that they would get 2 third-round picks. I don't know the wording of it. That's just my perspective. Again, I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for them giving me that job and helping me grow to get this job right now.
Look, I just think, and I've said this all along, this is one of those situations where common sense has to take over. I understand they hired Matt Ryan and created this new position, but the Falcons didn't do that to, like, override the GM. They did that just to have a structure between the GM and the owner, which a lot of teams have, but a lot of those guys are on the business side of the organization, like Kevin Warren, for example, with the Chicago Bears. I just think the Falcons have come out and said it. If you listen to Matt Ryan and the way he's talked about Ian Cunningham's role, Cunningham just said it. The Bears have appealed to, like, just do the right thing here. Everybody agrees the Bears should get these draft picks. Either give the Bears the picks or get rid of this rule that you have. And I think that's kind of what Ryan Poles said at the beginning. Like, look, we don't do this to try and get draft picks down the road when we hire these guys. But the rule's in place for a reason. You either care about it as a league or you don't. And if you don't, just get rid of it. But if you're going to keep it, then don't let some weird technicality that the Falcons didn't even intentionally create to screw over the Bears, because that's not what happened here. Don't let that be the reason the Bears don't get the draft pick. So we'll see. If yesterday I thought there was a 0% chance, maybe there's a 25% chance. But like Poles said, he has not heard from the league as of yet, so we'll see how it all ends up playing out. Okay, let's talk a little DJ Moore. He's obviously been a hot topic since the end of the season. Do you keep him? Do you trade him? Do you restructure him? What does that all look like? And Ryan Poles was asked about DJ Moore in a side scrum. He said, quote, "We want him here. We think highly of him. He's a great teammate. He has been productive pretty consistently over the last however many years he's been here, so I have nothing but great things to say about him. But this is the time now where we have to look at all scenarios that will allow us to put the best team out there." And I've talked about this before. There are relationships there. There's a lot that makes it really difficult. He's a guy we want here, but we have to look at the different scenarios. That smells like trade music to me. It's the classic gas up your guy, A, because you do like him and you think he's a good player, and B, hey, we like him. Come get him, boys. Like he's a really good player. Wide receiver needy teams. We got a for sale sign up. That's what that feels like to me. And again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm not anti DJ Moore. I'm anti DJ Moore on a $28.5 million cap hit. That's all. And if you want to say restructure him, fine. But then you're running into that problem down the road, and it becomes even tougher to pivot off the player. To me, you've gotten out right now. You've got Rome Badunze entering year 3 with the arrow pointing up. You've got Luther Burden, who Ben Johnson also said is going to be a big part of this offense moving forward, along with Colson Loveland. Those guys are entering year 2. I would like DJ Moore here too if he was making $15 million, even $18 million. Like if he would take a pay cut, I'd be open to it. But he doesn't need to do that. Why would he do that? Some other team would take on this contract. Now the Bears might have to eat some of the cash flow, but to me, it's just untenable. You trade him, you save $16.5 million against the cap, eat 12 this year. He's mostly off your books next year, and you move forward. And guys, when you become a good team, these are the tough decisions you start to have to make. This is probably the toughest call Ryan Poles has had to make as a GM as the Bears. So you know what? You're now finally a good team. Don't make a decision out of emotion. Don't make a decision, well, you know, he was a big piece of the trade with the Panthers that kind of started the snowball effect to get Caleb Williams and all these other guys. You can't make decisions like that. Does he make sense on his contract for this team right now or not? I don't think the contract is justifiable. And if they end up restructuring him, that's fine. But I don't think big picture, and Ryan Poles has talked about balancing the short versus the long term, I don't think that helps you long term. Because then you're just in a tougher situation with this contract next year and beyond. Now, Ben Johnson sounded off on DJ Moore as well in a side scrum, saying, talking about his value last year, he said it was immense. He probably knew all the roles of the receivers better than anybody else we had in that room. He should. He's a veteran. He's making almost $30 million. The X, the Z, if it didn't really matter, he was the F as well. He was a guy we knew we could count on. If guys go down, he could step in. There really wasn't anything we shied away from in terms of the route tree that he could or could not do. I feel like the versatility is something that screams at you. The intelligence screams at you. And as Ryan Poles alluded to in our last press conference at the end of the season, just the toughness, the durability. When you talk about a 17-game plus season, that's where a player like that is really, really valuable. And look, I do think the Bears like DJ. I think Ben likes him. I think Ryan likes him. Like me, I think they know the cap hit's too high. And I don't think they want to be in this situation 12 months from now after a restructure. So I'm just spitballing. I'm going to put a trade at 80%. I think it's 80-20 they trade him, with that 20 being they restructure. And if they restructure, my guess is they weren't getting even decent offers. That it was like, we're talking about pick swaps or something like that. I would think there's a team out there that would give you a 4th, maybe a 5th. You just take it and you move on. And it's not anti-DJ Moore. I know everybody thinks I'm the anti-DJ guy. It's the contract, man. It's about building the roster. You need to get better on defense. You need to get a better pass rush. Ryan Poles said, hey, we need a lot more speed on defense. That's not just the front 4. That's linebackers. That's DBs. Like, I just think that money can help you a lot, not only this year, but moving forward. So my guess is they end up trading him. What do you guys think happens? Will DJ Moore get traded? Type T for trade or K for keep. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. And follow me on social media. We're publishing clips from these press conferences, other NFL Combine stuff as well, all over the place. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at HGrahamNFL. And if you go to Facebook, search Harrison Graham Chat Sports or Facebook.com/HGrahamNFL. That's where you can find me on Facebook. More content all week long, all year long. We got you covered here on Chicago Bears Now. So lock us in here on the channel and on my social media platforms. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down.